Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the BMW M240i. Huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing the sports car for me today. Definitely take a look at their website. They're always getting in some very cool inventory. That link is down in the description. So this 240i is finished off in a Thunder Night Metallic. They have an MSRP that start in the mid $50,000 range. And powering the 240i is the 3-liter twin power turbo inline 6-cylinder paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission. This pumps out 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,800-pound sports car from 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds. Top speed is 155 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 13.7 gallons. You'll expect to see around 23 miles per gallon in the city, 32 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 107.9 inches. Its overall length is 179.4. It has a width of 72.4, a height of 55.3, and its ground clearance measures in at 5 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this M240i, let's start off with the kidney design for the grille. So it's very sleek on this model. Unlike some of the SUVs, we have a much slimmer design along with all the active grille shutters. So this entire section will open up to provide a lot more cooling for this engine. They are closed when the vehicle is off. They will remain open if the vehicle needs to cool down a little bit longer. There's also a forward-facing camera, all of these sensors. This has LED headlights along with the DRLs and turn signals, and then a lot of gloss black in the lower section. A lot more cutouts to provide cooling to the components up front, along with some air inlets on the far corners just to provide some better aerodynamics. Now there's some very nice lines that come down the hood. There's a bulge right in the middle there, which is a nice subtle touch to see. And then as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 19-inch wheels with that double spoke design. They are solid gloss black. This also has the M Sport brakes finished off in red. Interesting contrast against this purple. But this also has the power folding side mirrors. As you can tell, they just went in. When I walk up to the vehicle, it will automatically unlock and fold those back out. There's a camera and the turn signal. This has a sunroof up top. All the window trim is blacked out too, to give it a really nice look. And for the side design overall, I'm really digging it. It's a lot more boxy, I would say, than some of the previous BMW sports cars, but it has some very nice crisp lines to it. There's gloss black in that lower diffuser just to contrast with that purple there. We have the flush design for those door handles. This even has the M Sport rear differential too. And as we work our way to the rear, it has a very small trunk-mounted spoiler that is body colored. We have the backup camera, all the parking sensors, LED taillights, and then there's more gloss black in that diffuser along with the dual exhaust. And so you can actually remote start this as well, so you can just triple tap on the lock button and that will bring this to life. And then you can also triple tap on it again to shut it off if needed. So it's a really nice feature to have. You can also use the button on the key fob, of course, or up underneath and open up the trunk. Now it's not power operated, but it's pretty lightweight. And as we work our way to the rear cargo space now, there's actually a good bit of room. Now there's nothing underneath the floor, but there's a storage net on the driver's side. There's a net over on the passenger side, and then you can actually fold down the back seats. So you have 2 levers on both sides. Once you pull on those, you can fold them down. That gives you a lot more interior space. Makes this a very practical vehicle. This could be your only vehicle, and you can definitely make it work with the amount of interior space. One grab handle up top, and you can quickly close that. Now as we work our way to the interior, you can lock the vehicle by using the sensor on the back. When you walk up to it, as you've already heard several times in this video, it will lock and unlock. You can turn that off if you would like to. On this door panel, we got the Harman Kardon sound system, trunk release, storage space. This is an option right here to get these for the insert in the back. All of the window adjustments, side mirror controls, and then some brushed aluminum, even some memory seating controls. The M badge is down on the door sill, and then this model has the black leather interior. You can spec this and get some other colors just depending on what you like to get. Automatic seats, of course, and then the manual adjustment for that leg support is up front. Now as we work our way to the back seats, simply just fold the backrest and that seat will make its way forwards. And at 5'10", that gives me a good bit of space to hop into the back. Now, as you can tell with the passenger side, pretty decent amount of leg room. So it's really not all that bad. We have climate adjustments along with temperature and everything there. There's also an armrest. Really cool pattern that runs just underneath that window. And again, 5'10", my head is just touching the headliner. I could ride around town, maybe go on a small trip. It is functional for full-size adults, or like you saw earlier, folding the back seats down, you get a lot more interior space. There's also a center storage bin. And then right in the middle, you do get an armrest along with the 2 cup holders. And then you can also fold down this middle seat individually. So if you want maybe a higher armrest, or you have some longer items and you have someone in the back, you can do that as needed. Now, as far as visibility goes, very thin pillars in the back. We have a large window on both sides. So it doesn't even feel claustrophobic if you're riding in the back, which is very nice. Now, interestingly enough, same engine as the Toyota Supra, you just get back seats for the BMW version. And as we work our way to this steering wheel now, we have the M steering wheel. So it's solid leather, it's heated with the M badge. Cruise control settings are on the left side. Right side, you get volume and tuning along with Bluetooth and voice commands. And then all the brushed aluminum accents, it's on the paddle shifters. It's also on the rest of the trim accents. But let's fire this back up and hear what it sounds like. And now looking at the digital gauge cluster, on the left side there's the fuel level, miles per hour. Right side is the tach and engine temperature. And then you can also go through some info within that tach using that top button over on the turn signal stock. So currently you can see some data information. There's also live readouts for horsepower and torque. So you give the vehicle some gas, those will adjust. There's a G-force meter. You have your music when your phone is paired. You can also see the drive modes the vehicle is currently in. It's in comfort, and then what gear it's in as well. And then there's a live readout for MPG, and we are back to that setting there. So not a ton of information, but it's nice to have. The map is always in the center there too. And then up front, there's the head-up display. So it's showing miles per hour and the speed limit sign. And then over on this left side, we have the headlight adjustments along with a dimmer switch for the gauges, a little bit of a storage bin just underneath that. Also in the head-up display, you can also pull up the music. So you have favorites to pull up, as you can hopefully tell right there, just by pushing on this middle button over on the right side of the steering wheel. And then right in the middle, we have the touchscreen system. Currently it's showing the sport displays. So you have your power there, along with the G-force meter and some driving style analyses to look at. There's also a button there where you can go into your media, go into your phone when you have that paired. You can pull up the navigation to go through all the info. And then if you go under car, I'm gonna use the rest of the controls to go through this. Bunch of shortcuts up top, rotary dial to further go through this. So there's driving information that you can go into. That's how you can get into the sport displays. As you just saw, vehicle status that you can monitor. You have settings, driver profiles, and then even your owner's manual. So there's a lot that you can go through and configure, which is really nice. This is how you can get into the engine start stop from the remote itself. And then back on the home screen, you can actually swipe over and look at some more data information. You can actually configure this as you would like to. So it's the first time I've seen sport displays on the home screen. So the previous owner definitely set this up to have that front and center. Now underneath that, bunch of brushed aluminum. We have this trim accent, which is an option. I think it looks really nice. Right in the middle, there's also a shortcut to the intelligent safety. So you can pull all of this up and have it set up the way that you would like to. We have all the climate adjustments, heated seat controls, some more AC adjustments too. Power and volume for the radio is underneath, along with all the presets and tuning. If you open up this bin, wireless charging is located in the back. There's also some auxiliaries and then 2 cup holders where you can easily place some drinks. Now, all of the controls for that screen like I showed, and then on the left side with the shifter, let's put that into reverse where we have that 360 camera system. There's shortcuts over on that top-down view, and then if you swipe over, you can get into that 3D view. So you can just push on these shortcuts here, and you can see around the entire vehicle. Very nice to have that, of course. And then there's also the car wash setting or another top-down angle that you can use as needed. Now, if you put the vehicle into drive and you push on this camera button, that's the shortcut to bring up the forward-facing camera. So you can utilize that at slower speeds. The manual setting is going to be over to the left there, and then park is located on the back. Now there's traction control, parking sensors, engine start-stop feature, and then a few different driving modes that you can go through. So there's sport mode with a few, there's also comfort, eco, and then the last one is adaptive. So with the suspension setup, you can push on that, and it will also adjust those accordingly depending on how you're driving. Now there's the auto hold with the e-brake just behind that, and then the armrest has a good amount of space as well, and then the glove box has all the space that you need for those items. Now up top, there's the sunshade adjustment along with the dome lights, so you can easily open that up along with opening up the sunroof itself. And then as far as visibility goes from the driver's seat, just like the passenger seat really, it is easy to see over both shoulders. As we set off now behind the wheel for the M240i, this has been a long-awaited review for me personally. So I've been in the M2, I've been in the 230i, my brother has owned 2 Toyota Supras, he currently has one, and we have not been in the M240 yet. So this is really cool to check out. And what I love about this car, it basically sounds like and feels like the automatic Toyota Supra, but with the M240, you only get the automatic transmission. So if you want to go with the manual, you have to get the Supra or the M2, which is significantly more, but this is right on par with the Toyota Supra, maybe on par with the 4-cylinder Supra, but you could get into the same engine as this, the inline 6, with the Toyota Supra as well for a similar price. So for the mid $50,000 mark, I think this is a really incredible sports car that you can get. It's not that next level like the M2, but it's on par with the Supra, and you have the all-wheel drive system rather than rear-wheel drive. You can get a lot of power out of this engine. So if you want a sports car that's pretty relatively affordable, you want to crank out a lot of power, these are dynoing for well over the numbers that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. And so you can get something that's incredibly practical. We had an M2 for a week. We drove that 9 hours one way on a road trip. It was the best sports car I could possibly imagine for road tripping. We had all our stuff packed in the back, similar space that you get in this, and it was just an incredible vehicle to drive. So this 240 is going to be a very similar, just at that lower price point compared to the M2, of course. In sport mode there with the bridge bumps, it's kind of what you would expect. And we have lightning quick shifts for this automatic. So I can't really knock it for having the auto. I do wish it had the manual transmission option, but it is so quick. And you get some pops in that exhaust. It's not overly loud. Obviously an aftermarket exhaust would fix that. And BMW doesn't really have loud exhaust. Some of their models do. But in this one, it's kind of mild. What you would expect, I guess, for the M2. But I'm not going to get this out on some twisty roads today. But it's got to drive very similar to the Supra, to the M2. And we got that all-wheel drive system, so you're going to have a lot more grip in some certain situations and inclement weather, things like that. It does weigh about 400 pounds more than the Supra, so some of the handling characteristics you might feel back-to-back driving them. As far as just having this out on the road though, it's definitely going to be something that's very fun to drive. And for just driving it in general, like I said with the M2, how comfortable that was. It's so quiet and comfortable, very refined feeling. It's what you would expect from a BMW. And from second gear, here we go. Lightning quick for those shifts. So while the M240i doesn't come with the manual transmission, you get a very responsive automatic transmission that is quicker than the manual. I do wish, however, that a manual was offered, but you can go with the Supra if you want to get a similar vehicle with that manual. So behind the wheel now for the M240i, right in the mid $50,000 range, you can find these cars. And aside from the Supra, which I think is one of the best bang for the buck sports cars you can buy, I would put the M240 kind of right underneath it, simply because it has the same power plant, you just have back seats. So it is a little bit more practical. It just weighs a little bit more. You get the all-wheel drive system though, back seats like I said. So it's very, very similar, same engine, so you have a lot of tuning potential for this 240. A lot of interchangeable parts. They're both BMWs pretty much. And so you can have a lot of fun with this car without breaking the bank, without going up to the M2, which you can get the manual. It's gonna be about 20 grand more though. So it just depends on your budget, what you are looking to get. This is such an incredible driving car. I'm not on any twisty roads, but I've been in enough of them to know how responsive and the handling characteristics that this vehicle has. We also have the different driving modes, like I've mentioned earlier. Basically, it's just going to modulate your throttle response. So if we go down to a second gear in eco mode, power is definitely limited. I can feel that. Then you can go into sport mode. The exhaust note changes slightly. It's not that much louder between sport and out of sport mode basically, but it changes enough to be able to hear it, give you a little bit of that driver excitement and feel. And for this interior, we do have some plastic, which I'm not really gonna knock on it. There's other cars in this price range that do offer, you know, plastic interior, things like that. But we have a very nice interior, well-refined interior too. And if you haven't been able to tell, I will say that this is the older M240i already. We have the older screen setup. You can get the large curved screen now in the newest model that is available. But really nothing to complain about in this 240. Kind of identical to the Supra, of course, but it is very nice. It is a good driving, everyday style vehicle if you want the performance, but you also want that practicality. I could put people in the back if you had that third or fourth person and you just needed that space, you're using it a lot, you have a lot of items that you need to place in your vehicle. It makes for the best of both worlds, which is awesome to see. But that is going to wrap it up for the BMW M240i. Once again, huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this for me today. Check out their website, that link is down below. Give the video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.